Yeah, I'm Tom Lamb, and I got interested in folk music mainly because the Kingston Trio had a hit record back in 1958 called Tom Dooley. We liked the way they sounded, we liked the harmonizing that they did, and then when we saw them on television, we saw that they were pretty animated, and we liked the way they conducted themselves. And then later on, they put out an album that was a live album, and we found out how funny they were too. And we thought, what could be cooler than that? Get some guitars and some banjos and try and be like those guys. And that's what we did when we were about 14 in 1961. And we formed a little trio from the neighborhood guys. And later on, we got a bass player and we became a quartet. ABC television started to air a show called Hootenanny on Saturday nights with Jack Linkletter, and they had various folk groups on there. Any church or any school or any fraternity or sorority wanted to raise money, they would have a Hootenanny, and that's how we started to work, because they would hire us as one of the main acts. We were hired to go up to Grayling, Michigan to entertain the National Guard, and we went up there with Stevie Wonder and the Supremes up on a bus for a weekend tour. Supposed to do 5 shows. We ended up doing 2 shows and got paid the same, and that's when we thought, hey, this show business is not too bad. After high school, we worked pretty much 1963, 1964, and 65, but folk music started to fade because obviously the Beatles had come along, and so there wasn't that much interest in it anymore, and there were no hootenannies to play. So we ended up playing in clubs, some small bars. We were hired to do a TGIF party. We were just going to be the interim act during the break, and the main act was the MC5. So we had our little folk group in the middle of all this, whatever the MC5 did, with the strobe lights going, which was a terrific come down, I think, for the crowd. But with the strobe lights going, you could see my fellow member of the trio strumming as fast as he could strum, but we could only see it about halftime because of the strobe lights. But one of the members of the Kingston Trio was John Stewart, and back in 2000 he decided that he would take a cue from some of the Major League Baseball teams that have fantasy camps and have his own trio fantasy camp where people would come and play on stage with him and Nick Reynolds. And it cost about $2,500 at the time to be one of the participants. And the first year I was a participant, and then after that, John actually hired me to be on the staff. It takes about 10 people to get this thing organized every year. So now I go out not as a participant, but as a working member of the staff. It looks like it's going to go on forever. We've got another one scheduled for August of 2008. It costs $2,700. And they are out there for 3 days and have a blast. And the Kingston Trio is still going after 50 years. This music will continue to be popular until maybe some of us die out.